Okay, so, oh my word, now that's really really a video. Not helpful, I can't see. It's amazing how I sound like I know what I'm doing. It doesn't tell you how to put that on. Nutty. I forgot to put the cable clamp on. Right, yeah, we are ready to go. So let's put the tools away. There is a tool holder you can print for this thing, by the way, which keeps all these nice and neat, but for the time being I'm going to put them all back in the bag they came in. There we go. Now we need to make sure there's enough room for that bed to go all the way back. Forward a bit. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's get the screen plugged in. Okay, moment of truth time. Will it power up? Find some of that cable to rest a bit neater than that, but anyway, use the coffee cup to do that. Right, we're on. No, we're not. Helps if I turn it on the wall. Right, oh, lights. Ah, yes, this thing comes with lights here and here. Roof is actually starting up. There you go. Woohoo! You know, with one light above me. So while that screen's doing its bit, there are LED lights there and LED lights under there. They've gone off at the moment. There we go, and then system is currently starting. Please wait. Hey, we're up, I think. Right, as you can probably see, I'll do it from here because you can see there. You can see in the corner there, we're not on the Wi-Fi network yet. So let's take a look around, shall we? Settings, light control. Let's put the two lights on. There's a light underneath the print head and there's LED lights there. You can control those from there. Turn those off just for a minute. So the wireless LAN is there. So the one we need for us is that one. Bear with me a second. Okay, you can see we are now connected on the LAN. And now we should have an IP address, which we do. Then we need to make a note of that IP address because we'll need that for the software on my computer. So I'll make a note of that from here. So it's 113 on the end. Right, fan control, currently off. That's because the fans are off. On, fan control. Okie dokie. Right, now I know what they mean by the fact this is quite loud. Yeah, that's loud. Let's turn that off just for a minute. We'll work that out later. Right, okay, so that's good. about machine, this is what we need, because this is where the software is. So the firmware on this machine is currently sitting at 1.2.3.3 with the user interface version of 1.2.15. Let's see the IP address down the bottom there. And there's the bed size, 320 by 320 by 385. And it's a Neptune Plus. So far so good. Language is probably fairly obvious. Advanced settings. So input shaper is another one we've got to do. Nozzle, all these things we've got to do. Print mode is normal. Level mode. We'll switch that to professional. Right, so we are up. It is running. It is working. Now comes the fun bit. Now we've got to set it all up. Now we've got to level it and go through all the leveling functions. So if you go to level, which we won't do at the moment, but that's where we have some real funny games. Under here, you can see some wheels. There are 6 of those. So the first thing you have to do is do a manual level with those 6 wheels, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then you can do the auto level. When all that's done, we can attempt to get our first print. Now, basically, I've now got to go away with that information. If it's not at the right firmware, that's the next job we've got to do. So I'm going to go away, see if we need that firmware, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the next day now, it's absolutely hammering it down with rain outside, so I'm glad I'm in the wall. Now you can see I mounted the filament through the filament detector into the hot end, so that's all done. And printer's on the Wi-Fi. Or the Wi-Fi. So what we're going to do now is we're going to update the firmware. I'll get the camera down here, and then we'll see how the firmware goes, and then we've got the bed leveling to do. Nearly there, I think. Yep, there we go. So let's just confirm it. It should be on. Let's have a look. Got my fingers in the way, sorry. Yeah, 1.2.3.4. The UI version is 1.215. That's going to have to go up a bit. And as you can see, it's even wiped out the IP address, so we've got to do that as well. Okay, so we're going to update the firmware on the user interface. As you can see, it's 1.2.15, and we've actually got a 1.2.1.8. So on here is a micro SD card that's actually in there. That's actually got the new user interface firmware on it. So we've got to get the back off this. So we've got to turn this off, get the back off this, put that SD card in the back, switch it back on, and that should automatically update this to the latest firmware. So that's what we're going to do next. So the back is held on with 4 screws, which the Allen keys provided will fit. And this is the back of the control box. So this is where we need to put the SD card into. So we'll do that and then switch it back on. So when you switch it back on, this is the display you'll get. As you can see, it's doing the update. Let's see if it completes okay. Now what's recommended to be done when you do the firmware updates and the user interface updates is you have to go through all the leveling and calibration procedures all over again. Which I'm going to have to do because I forgot to plug in one of the motors. That one there wasn't plugged in. So I'm going to have to do it all over again anyway. There you go, update successful. Right, so we need to turn this back off again, take that card out and see if it boots. And there we go. So firmware's up to date, UI version's up to date. So now we're going to do all the calibration stuff. Right. So we've got to do the bed leveling. Now, bed leveling for this is I've now got it set to professional mode rather than the normal mode. So underneath the bed, you'll see these wheels. There are 6 of them. They recommend you do a manual leveling first and then do the automatic leveling. What I've also done is I have cleaned this bed. So the recommended way to do it is I've done it with warm water, some washing up liquid, and then finish off with isopropyl alcohol. I can never say that, but you know what I mean. Same stuff you use for model railways, and I've got loads of that stuff. So it's been thoroughly cleaned. So we just need to do the leveling now. So I'm going to set it up. So we're going to level, confirm. So it's now going to 0 the head. It's going to put it somewhere. It's going to hunt for 0. Yep, okay, so it's hunted for 0, and as you can see, everything on there is all zeros. So we're going to go into auxiliary. Going on, cancel. I've just remembered because I've done the firmware update. Yeah, I thought so. I want it in professional mode. I had a funny feeling it was going to do that. Right, so let's go back into level. That's going to redo the centering. You would think it would have known it was already in the centre, wouldn't you? Right. Bizarre. Okay, so we're going to auxiliary. Just to do it between the nozzle and the platform by rotating the hand nut below the platform A4 paper thickness. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So follow those icons basically. So I'm going to put my phone down and I'll put it on a wide thing so you can see me do it. Right, I've just realised in a slight faux pas that I selected professional mode for the levelling. I didn't save it. So I've just done that again and resaved it, and of course it's wiped out all the levelling settings. So it's just going to go through and do the levelling again, and if I've got this right this time, it should do more than 100 levelling points. It should level this bed really, really well. There's some input shaping I've already done on the X and the Y axis, and what that does, it vibrates in the X and the Y. So the bed gets vibrated, and the X, this arm across here, gets vibrated, and that gets plugged into the software. So when this is moving around, it should try and mitigate those vibrations, and therefore should help the printing. So like I said, I'm redoing the levelling. I have to redo the head height as well, which could take a while. So bear with me. Yes, it's actually going to do 121 points this time. Let's see how we go. So you can see it's doing some much finer increments across the bed now. This might take a little while for it to complete. Right, so let me see if I can show you underneath what it's actually doing. Without leaning on the USB stick, because if I do that, it disconnects, it'll stop. What I'm going to do is put the lights on. And here's the screen that you see. I'm going to put the lights on. So you can see it's done 17%. It's another half an hour. Let's have a look. See how we're doing. This is the first print without, doing any sort of tuning to things. So if it comes out looking a bit rough, I won't be surprised. But if it completes it, I'll be happy. Right, let's see what it does, shall we? We'll hope for the best. So coming back to this, we've got another 54% through. It's still going. I'll take a look at the quality of them of the model when it comes off. So first go at the moment, things are still going okay. So while this is printing, one way you could look at how this printer works, think of how an MRI or a CAT scan works. Works in a very similar way. Slices through your body. And those slices then bring up a 3D image that the doctors can interpret. Effectively, this is what it's doing in the software that's upstairs on my computer. It will take a 3D model in that software and it will then slice it. And the finer the slices are, the more detailed the model will be. Now at the moment, I've done nothing to this model. This is the model provided. So I've not changed any of the settings. So it's being printed exactly as the designer intended. Now I could make this much smoother, make the lines that we could see a lot less obvious and have a pretty smooth model at the end of it. But I'm not going to start fiddling with that until I know that this printer actually will do things consistently. So if this model works, I'll print one more to make sure this wasn't a fluke. As in there's something called a benchy model boat. And I'll print that just to make sure that this is actually working as it's supposed to be. Then I'll start properly going into this in more detail, printing off calibration prints to get it absolutely spot on. But for the fact that this works first so far, I'm not going to jinx it, so far has worked first time. That I was really expecting this not to work first time, I really wasn't. Yeah, fair enough, it hasn't finished yet. 65% of the model done. It can still go pear-shaped. See what happens in a few minutes. It's saying another 12 minutes. Well, as you can see, it lost it right nearly at the end, detached from the print bed. And there you go. That's a real shame. So obviously not quite right. So we will give the benchy, which is the little boat, let's give that a go and see if that'll actually do it. But that is such a shame. So obviously something not quite configured just yet. That is such a shame. Right, back in a sec. So as you can see, we've had a successful print. I've now got the opposite problem. I can't get it off the bed. Oh dear. Right, so bear with and we'll try and get it off. Okay, so we've got Benchy off the bed and I'll show you a better picture of that print a bit later on. So after the success of that, we're going to have another go at the Buddha. Now, I've done all the bench levelling. Now, one thing I think I didn't say is I actually put down some glue stick, which is recommended to try and do with all these things. I mean, there are other things we can do. So we're going to give the Buddha another go, see if we can get it to complete. And then I feel we've done everything we can with this printer to set it up. And I'll be dead pleased. I think anything else I do to this printer, be it calibration, testing and stuff, will be a video in its own right. And let's see if this prints this thing, shall we? Oh, there is one other thing that hasn't worked on this thing just yet, as it starts its little job there, is it has remote monitoring. Now, in the garage, the Wi-Fi isn't as good as I thought it was, so I am going to have to put the Wi-Fi extender in here. But that's for another day. If I can get it monitoring remotely with a remote with a webcam that's pointing at it, I can monitor this thing from my office rather than standing here in the cold garage. Let's see if this works, shall we? There we go, 2 successful prints. I think that looks really good. Yeah, I think that looks really good. Dirty pressed. So we have a working printer. The bed needs a lot of cleaning now. We can't see it on there, but obviously with the glue stick it needs a good old wash. But anyway, so we have a working, lovely printer. So, watch this space for what we can create with this thing. And for right now, finish off the testing on this, finish off the calibration and make it look a bit better. So, I will show you some of the stuff this gets up to the next few days. So, and we'll see you in the new year.